The KZN MEC for Public Works and Infrastructure, Meyer, announced that he would be acquiring a team of experts who will form part of the consultative and advisory body on issues affecting the construction sector. Meyer announced these changes at the women-only construction workshop in Durban yesterday to commemorate Women's Month. The construction industry is battling with the construction mafia. Just this past weekend, the KwaZulu-Natal police arrested 5 alleged construction mafia suspects linked to the blocking of a bridge construction site in the Umsunduzi area outside the Pietermaritzburg. Let's now bring in business into this discussion. We have the Black Business Council's Deputy President, Gregory Mofokeng, who's joining us, and also the Black Business Federation CEO, Ntsikelelo Dlulane, who's joining us for this conversation. Ntsikelelo, let's start off with you. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. As the Black Business Federation, you had been accused before of being part of the construction mafia. You've also been accused of rebranding to become a legitimate business federation or forum. I don't know how much you can speak to your understanding around the construction mafia, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, and what your federation has learned about it.
No, thank you, Aldrin, for the invite. Good morning to you and good morning to your guests and good morning to your listeners. I think there is a problem of aligning, or the so-called construction mafia with the Black Business Federation. And it becomes easy, Aldrin, when people would want to blame someone as a result of the lack of intervention when it comes to the tackling of this particular challenge. I think the first thing that we want to raise was that we were formed as the FRET, which was the Federation for Radical Economic Transformation, which unfortunately, upon realizing that it might be aligned to, political, factions within one of the parties that are existing in South Africa, there was then a need to rebrand so that it is then shown that this federation is actually independent. It is meant to look out for the interest of Black businesses. Now, because of the fact that we have members within the BBF who are forums, mainly our members are business forums. And you would have seen a number of times that this construction mafia has unfortunately been aligned to, to business forums, which is something that we continue to dispute, because you cannot say that all these business forums are actually construction mafia. And if there is an indication that there is a forum that is participating in the activities of the mafia, then it should be called out, because that would mean it is known. That would mean that the people who are doing this are also known. So we continue to actually dispute that, and we've been on record a number of times disputing this particular matter. And we are saying, let's separate genuine business people who are forming forums and those that are capitalizing on the challenges that the forums are having, and then taking them on the issue as something that they can use to do extortion.
Tell us about what you know as the Black Business Federation about this issue around the construction mafia. And I'm also thinking now that some of your members would be members that are involved in the construction sector, and some might have been awarded legitimate tenders to construct and to build certain projects, and the impact that the construction mafia has had on them. I'd love to hear from your end what you guys know about it.
What we know about this construction mafia is that these are criminal elements who have seen a gap in the form of some of the challenges that we face as a country when it comes to the implementation of the CPG to start with, and also the issues of transformation when it comes to not only the construction industry, but other sectors as well. But this particular one focuses on the construction industry. So these criminal elements are masquerading as business forum in some of the areas. And as you rightfully say, some of our members have actually been appointed, but they were also affected by the fact that there would be business stoppages. There would be stoppages on sites. There will be, interventions and threats, which is happening all over, where there is a requirement for some of the people who have been given the tenders to actually pay some amount to certain individuals who then promise that they will not, their sites will not be disturbed. So it's something that also happens to our members, and it is not something that is only happening to others without affecting our members. We've received a lot of complaints in some of the areas where our members actually operate.
Okay, Gregory, a very good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. As the Black Business Council, how do you respond to these concerns and also the issue around the 30% that government said must be set aside for local communities, especially to deal with the issue around transformation within the construction sector? But later on, we'll bring up a clip with the Minister, the conversation that I had with the Minister of Public Enterprises, Minister McPherson. But I first want to hear what the initial thoughts of the Black Business Council is with regards to the construction mafia.
Good morning to you, Adrian, and to your viewers. We raised the alarm way back in 2015, 2016 about the activities of the construction mafia. And therefore, as a Black Business Council, we still remain concerned about the activities. We raised concerns back then to say that there is definitely advantage being taken of the policy dispensation that allowed for 30% subcontracting. It was never there in the legislation. In fact, as the Black Business Council, through our affiliate, the Black Business Council in the Built Environment, we worked very closely with the National Treasury, specifically the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer, to actually introduce that element of 30%. The idea there was to ensure that people are empowered on the ground and that we don't have big construction companies coming in, bringing all the resources from outside, and not empowering the locals. Little did we know that in practice, this will then be abused, and that's our view. That this 30% policy, lever that is meant to empower our local communities has effectively been hijacked by construction mafia.
Yeah, so you say that it has been hijacked. The Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, makes almost a similar description. I want you to listen to what he had to say, and Ntsikelelo as well as Gregory. I'll hear your reaction to it, because it almost sounds as though he's saying that perhaps maybe we need to review that 30% being set aside for local business, considering, as you put it, that it has been hijacked. Just take a listen to what he had to say.
The problem lies in the so-called 30% set aside, which is supposed to be for local community development. Now, that is the gateway into these projects for these extortionists and construction mafia who have no interest in community development, but only simply want cash payment. Don't mistaken me or misconstrued what I'm saying, that no one is saying that we don't want to uplift and empower local communities and small businesses within the built environment. What we cannot do is allow a situation and have a system that we have created as government to be used against us by extortionists and mafia.
Yeah, and Gregory, there you have it. We can't have a system that we created as government being used against us by the construction mafia.
The minister is absolutely correct, Adrian, that the construction mafia has taken advantage of this policy lever. However, the sad news for the minister is that he cannot simply just remove that from the policy. In fact, if one looks at the recently promulgated Public Procurement Act, that 30% is no longer there, and I'm sure it will not even feature in the regulations that we are currently working on. However, it is well entrenched in how projects are implemented throughout the country, and therefore you can no longer, propose that the 30% no longer be there. People will still come in and participate, and therefore, whether it's there in policy or not, will have no effect going forward, because people will still demand participation. What we do need, from government is law enforcement to do their work. I mean, we cannot have people coming in and extorting, businesses, and police do nothing about it simply because they're in cahoots with these people, or they just simply don't view it as a serious crime compared to other categories of crime.
Yeah, and Ntsikelelo, let's hear your response to what the minister had to say there, and also from your experience as an organization that has members that are in the built environment. Do you find that sometimes there are tenders that are awarded to big business construction firms, and the 30% is not allocated to subcontractors within the various communities where those projects are taking place?
No, thank you. I think I would want to agree with my colleague here. The challenge will be misdiagnosing the problem. We are very much in support of the 30% because it is meant to actually bring those communities where the projects are being implemented, to the activities that are happening. So that will actually uplift their businesses, and by so doing their economy in their respective areas. The 30% is not the problem here. As my colleague here is saying, the problem is lack of enforcement of the law. Because there is no way that a forum in one of the areas where the projects are being implemented would not be known, and the members would not be known. So the problem here is that those that are extortionists are probably people that are known, but there is nothing that is being done, as my colleague here is saying, and that is what we need. Because as we're saying, if you take away the 30%, you are then reversing the need that was seen of transforming this particular industry and making sure that those small and medium-sized firms get to actually be involved in the construction industry that's also growing their businesses. So we are not in support of that of any move that will suggest that the 30% must be taken away, but we've always availed ourselves. And I think, as the BBC is also saying, the challenge here is collaboration and a hands-on approach, an all-day approach for everyone who is involved to make sure that we root out this scourge, because it is something that can easily be attended to if all of us are working together.
Yeah, but do you have, as the Black Business Federation, do you know of any big construction firms that do not allocate that 30% to subcontractors?
We may not want to mention names, but we were just engaging with one of the clients of these big companies, Sandral, where we have raised concerns in one of their projects, where one of the main contractors has not implemented that 30% fully, and as a result of that, there was beginning to be a challenge where the people were beginning to complain, and we had to intervene because fortunately those are our members. So there is also that element of not wanting to make sure that this 30% is enforced as per what is dictated upon the appointments of these particular individuals. So a section of this will also be the monitoring of the implementation of this 30%, so that there is no reason for those that are subcontractors to have a problem with the main contractor, which ends up being used by these criminal elements as gap to make sure that they intervene and do the extortion that we've been suffering all along.
And Gregory, that's in conclusion, that's the other problem. How do you deal with that element? Because you have the 30% that should be going to the subcontractors, and sometimes you find that it is actually not going to those subcontractors, which that makes some people in the construction in the construction industry very upset. And sometimes they do use violent means to ensure that they do get that 30%. Some people may argue that it is a legitimate way to make sure that the 30% is allocated, but it is also unlawful.
Look, Adrian, the problem actually emanates from the clients. So what the clients are supposed to do is what we call social facilitation, meaning that even before the contractor is appointed, the clients work collaboratively with the community to identify people that must be employed in the project as laborers, and also to identify companies that will come on board as subcontractors as well as suppliers. Now, clients don't do this because by the time you are appointed as a contractor, and this is very important, you are not appointed as a contractor to come and do social facilitation. You are appointed to start construction. It therefore means that the clients should have done their work of social facilitation and will be there to guide the contractor to say, these are the resources that are available, these are the people that must be employed as laborers on the project, and these are the people that must be beneficiaries of the 30%. If the clients don't do that, then you do have a challenge of contractors coming in and starting the project whilst they're still trying to figure out who are the beneficiaries of the 30%. So the clients are supposed to do their work here so that this policy intervention can then be meaningful to the local communities. So we put the blame squarely at the door of the clients, and including the Minister of Public Works, because his department is key in ensuring that there's proper social facilitation across government clients, because he's the custodian of the construction industry. So we need to see more social facilitation so that communities can be formally brought on board by the clients, so that when the contractors are finally appointed, the resources are there and we get on with the business of implementing projects instead of consulting forever and opening up room for the mafias to come and disrupt projects.
Yeah, but the concern that has also been raised is that now it affects the private sector as well. That doesn't necessarily have that 30% policy allocation. But thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Ntsikelelo Dlulane is the CEO of the Black Business Federation, and Gregory Mofokeng is the Vice President of the Black Business Council.